Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Bellwether Fields, and it is Christmas in January. One of these days, we're definitely going to get Christmas in a timely fashion. Last year, 2019, we were just finishing the downstairs and we couldn't quite get there until January. And this year, we've just had so much going on trying to get all this stuff done that, again, we're showing you in January, but that is what it is. In the build up to this, we were trying to rush to get everything done to be able to get a Christmas tree up by Christmas, and we made it in the nick of time. We just barely made it. So we'll show you a little bit of that today, and we'll show you how I finished the kitchen counters. And I hope all of you had a great holiday, and thank you for watching. Please give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and enjoy the video.
Hey guys, Merry Christmas Eve.
We made it. Almost the end of the year.
Almost. It's Christmas. I think the windows were a Christmas present.
To ourselves.
To ourselves. So much nicer. Like we came down this morning and it wasn't butt cold in the entire house. It's really
you have a window open all the time. I mean, it's very cold.
I hadn't really thought about that. I mean, I knew it would be colder, but I didn't know it would be that much colder.
Yeah. At least we're getting a lot of fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have the most windows in the house that we've ever had before because most of them have been like boarded up. So now we have the maximum amount of windows we can possibly have.
Max light. We'll get an idea for what the light's like. That's good.
Well, not today because it's pouring rain, but yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this means that we can move our kitchen table back into the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
I'll be making a pork shoulder, barbecue pork shoulder in the oven. I'm going to use my new oven probe.
Wow.
Oven probe.
Oven probe. It's really cool. It came with its own probe.
Yeah.
And it connects right to the oven. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. So I'll show you guys how that works. That's going to be neat. It'll be a journey of discovery today for all of us.
Yeah. And it like connects to your phone too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So cool.
So we'll decorate the tree. We'll have a nice dinner.
Mm-hmm. At the table?
Ooh, at the table. Nice.
Whoa.
Yeah. Christmas dinner at the table. I like it.
Whoa. That's pretty exciting. We have not eaten at this table yet.
So I can't remember when we talked about this. It was early December, but we had realized that we probably weren't going to get all this done and that we weren't going to be able to have a Christmas in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not by Christmas, maybe not even by New Year's. Because Cristina was so upset that I just couldn't sleep that night. I was like trying to scheme ways I was like, how can we make this happen? How can we make this happen? And the only way that it could have happened was getting my brother out here to get those cabinets in and to just help drag us forward a little bit. And it all worked out. I couldn't believe it. I told him, when I texted him about it, I was like, hey, I have a backup plan, so don't feel bad if you can't do it. I had no backup plan.
We had no backup plan.
So, Michael, you kind of saved our bacon there.
You're a good husband.
And miracle of all miracles, we made it.
Yeah, so hopefully we will see the fruits of our labor today in Christmas stuff.
So we're going to go into town. We have a couple other errands we're going to run. Of course, we're going to the hardware store. It's Christmas Eve.
Why wouldn't we do that?
Why wouldn't we do that?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll pick up a Christmas tree along the way.
We are going to take this room from this. Pretty sweet. One of the things this allows is for her to put up her feet on this wedge pillow, giving her elevation, keeping the cramps away. Man, she did a great job. She cleaned this whole room, reorganized. Pretty soon decorations going up. And we're going to take this room from this to this. Autumn Olive Farms, local farm. Awesome, awesome pork. Got my rub with paprika, cumin, onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, cinnamon. Got the roasting pan all ready to go. And most importantly, I have this oven. Not a toaster oven, an oven. Yeah. Okay, I think we got the right setup now. This took a little figuring out. So I've got the meat ready to go in the roasting pan. I have the probe. It is inserted into the thickest part of the meat, right in the middle. And so I set this to convection roast, and it's coming up to temperature now. And as soon as it gets to 300, I should put this in the oven, insert the probe, and then a prompt should come up here, allowing me to set the internal temperature that we want to bring the meat up to. So it'll cook it until this register is 195, and then we'll shut off. That's the way it works. That's pretty cool. In we go. Nice. Set probe temp to 1. All right, so there it is, on its way up. This should only take about another 6-7 hours. Christina's been eating metric tons of pineapple.
More pineapple than I've ever eaten in my entire life.
Combined, ever.
So much pineapple.
So, how many weeks were you? 18 weeks when you were diagnosed with gestational diabetes?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that she failed a glucose test and then had to fail the second glucose test to get this diagnosis. And our diet is weird. Like we don't eat a lot of carbohydrates. Like I think the standard American diet is 300 to 400 grams a day, and we probably eat somewhere between like 80 and 140.
Yeah.
Probably closer to like 120 on average.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course she's going to fail that glucose test. Like you're drinking a humongous volume of sugar at once with nothing else in your body. Anyway, so we just looked up why that might be.
That I'm eating so much pineapple, not why I failed the glucose test.
And it turns out that pineapple is super high in manganese, which is a crucial part of your blood glucose regulation. So I'm kind of glad we're listening to your cravings, but it's just so random. Alright guys, so we're going to be doing coat number 3. And so this time instead of using a rag, I'm just going to paint it on. I felt like the rag was wasteful. The rag absorbed a lot of the oil that I was putting down. And I think I just need to brush it on and just let it soak in, and that'll be fine. Right now it's the next morning, and you can see the oil has soaked in certain spots and not others. So what I'm going to do today, right now, is just hit these little spots right here that are already dry, and let's see if we can get a little bit more saturation in with the oil. But overall, this is much less areas of dryness. Here you can see right there. And this time, it doesn't even look dry. It just looks like it has already absorbed. I'm just gonna make sure of that. It's been another 8 hours, at least 8 or 9 hours. And so now I'm gonna try buffing the countertops with just like a tea towel, just to kind of spread it around a little bit and get rid of any of the excess that may be on there. And we'll see where we're at in a couple days, probably. So again, like areas that have soaked in but don't appear to be dry necessarily. So we'll see what happens. Wax on, wax off.
I guess so. Just don't get close to the wall.
Okay, see these things? This is just different coarseness of wood. And it's possible that there's just slightly different depths here. These weren't exactly evenly put together. That's certainly an option. You can feel it, it's just rougher. And the oil, the oil is soaked in, it just isn't, the different surfaces are just gonna look different, right? So this side, you can see over here, there are less of them, but there are a couple, right? Here, 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 here. Just, you can tell it's just a little bit more coarse. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to use my 300 grit and then my 400 grit sandpaper, just resand everything, and then apply one more coat of oil and see what that looks like when I'm done. The last time I put on the oil, the last coat, it was obvious that there were still some dry spots that were showing up really quickly. I had this mark to re-oil. Right now, I'm not seeing them yet. I may still see them, but I did a really thorough job of sanding this time. So I'm kind of hoping that this is the last coat I had to put on. I really loved. I was just starting to use the counters. It's, you know, I'm not ever going to be using them as a cutting board, but just be able to set stuff on them was really nice. So fingers crossed. Via the magic of cinema, it is the next morning, and I just let them sit for the basically 24 hours since I put the oil on, and this is a much better result. So you can see that some areas are still pulled a little bit, some areas are absorbed, but none of it's dry. It's all either absorbed or pulled. So I'm going to go ahead and buff it, and I think this might be the final form for the countertops, but we'll see. Let's have a look. That I think turned out really, really nice. Very happy with this. All right, I think that's it. So what I could do is I could keep sanding it and oiling it, and that wouldn't be that big a deal. You just give it a week to cure, then you can go up again in sandpaper fineness and, you know, give it a sand, give it an oil, let it sit overnight, give it a buff, and then let it sit for a week. And you can keep doing that. I could keep doing that. But I think this is pretty good. This is pretty good. So just to review what I actually did. These are American walnut countertops. They're butcher block countertops from Lumber Liquidators. I got it in a 12-foot block and did the cuts myself. And you can see those on a video that I did in Vlogmas. So once I got them installed over our IKEA cabinets. The very first thing I did was sand with, it was 120 grit, and then it called for 150 grit. I couldn't find that, so I did 180 grit. So I sanded with 120, 180, and then it said to wet a rag and just kind of wipe it down, let it dry, so that raises the grain. And then you, with some wet dry sandpaper at 220, you sand it in. So you apply the oil and you rub the sandpaper on the wood to get the oil in there. You let that sit, you give it a wipe. You're supposed to let that set at least 24 hours and then sand it again, this time with 320 grit sandpaper. I went ahead and did that. It was a few more days. I let it sit for a few more days, but that's just the way it was. There's no problem. Then you oil it after you sand it with the 320, and then you do the 400. And that's where I stopped. I stopped with the 400 grit. So I don't know. I may keep going. It's just kind of a fun to see, how much better can it look. But I think it does say to go all the way up to 1200 grit. So I could go to 500, 600, 800, 1000, 1200. I think those are the steps. But this is just fine.